potential. You love a team that has it. They're young, they've shown just enough promise to be special, and the fruits that should bear from this team is so far off that even as a fan, you can find some enjoyment and silver linings in the letdowns. I practically live here as an OKC fan. But as seasons pass and players develop, what was once a simple letdown becomes inexcusable. What was once a setback is now utter failure. And you notice the patience in the fan base and the media surrounding it is getting thin. Only to leave those feeling that way asking a number of questions, some like, when will things change? When will the next big step be made? I thought that the Boston Celtics' next big step would be this year. After losing in the finals to Steph Curry and the Warriors last year, I left saying that this is a necessary moment in their journey, and the issues that came to light last postseason will be addressed for them to hoist the Larry O'B this season. But Boston's season started off kind of messy. First, they lose their head coach, the guy that helped them get to the finals in Ime Udoka, due to what we're going to call an internal scandal. Brad Stevens and the front office decided that the next man up will be Joe Mazzulla, giving them their third head coach in 3 years. And while they managed to have a successful regular season by anyone's standards, the playoffs started and there were alarming chinks in the armor. Then Miami happened.
It's a long three, and go! Outside, Martin makes the fake. Williams hit the three, bullseye! The Heat are going to the NBA Finals.
And while they were able to force a Game 7 after starting the series down 3-0, the truth remains that this Boston team seemed to be lacking something, seemed like something was missing the entire postseason. And the only way for them to reach the ultimate goal of an NBA title is to figure out what that is. And if everyone here is meant to be here to help find it. What's good, y'all? It's your boy Greg, and welcome to In and Out.
I'm gonna jinx myself, but I said 6 years. I'm gonna go ahead and say 5 or 6. I'll go ahead and say that.
So you win in the championship every year from here.
I don't want to jinx myself.
You already did. You already said it.
And I don't play to lose, so I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm gonna give it a 5.
While I think Jaylen got a bit ahead of himself in his interview with Taylor Rooks, I think there was some truth in what he was saying and what he saw. One of my first videos on this channel was acknowledging the young duo of Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Two young, skilled hoopers at the time with the talent to be among the league's upper echelon, and they are. Tatum averaged 30 points, nearly 9 rebounds, 4 assists, while Brown averaged 27, 7, and 3. And with those numbers, both of them were honored as All-NBA players. Jayson as a first-team member, Jaylen as second. Their production as a duo over the season only confirmed that they have the tools to bring home a championship for the city of Boston. However, in almost every instance where two young stars coexist, the conversation became, how long will the other want to play second fiddle? Rumors lingered that Jaylen may be ready to leave Boston. And while he never confirmed or denied the reports of him wanting out, many continue to speculate new landing spots for the 26-year-old. And that's due to the fact that they haven't been able to win it all. I mean, let's be honest. These conversations wouldn't be made if they managed to have brought home at least one championship by now. And this past postseason, with the odds in their favor, they fell short. There's no way around it. Losing in the opening game of a series to a team missing the best player, the MVP, is bad. Falling behind 3-0 in a series to the 8th seed, who's missing 2 role players, by the way, one of which averaged 20 points in the regular season, is bad. 8 turnovers in a Game 7 is really bad. But the Celtics still managed to be 1 game away from the NBA Finals. And while many are looking to splitting the two after the way this postseason unfolded, along with knowing that Brown is now eligible for a Supermax contract that could hamper how the team goes forward with building around them, there is still a part of me that doesn't want to see Boston give up on a duo that could lead to a dynasty. Jaylen is 26, Jayson 25. Some of the players we love the most and hold as the standard didn't start winning until they were 27, 28 years old. The reason this duo is looked at as underachievers or having a glass ceiling is because they've been in the playoffs pretty much their whole career. This core has never missed it. In the years they've been together, they've made 4 trips to the Eastern Conference Finals, and last season, they earned their first trip to the NBA Finals. That's a start franchises dream of out of a young group. I think their success so early in their careers has sped up the timeline a bit, made those impatient. So when you add in the fact that Brown set himself up with that 5 to 6 ring soundbite, you think maybe this isn't meant to be. The truth is, the ascension of Tatum becoming one of the most skilled and productive wings is real. Jaylen Brown has to continue to improve on his deficiencies. The nosedive his postseason numbers took in the conference finals was alarming, but he has shown he's capable of being the perfect second option star on both ends of the floor. In the past era of superstars, the ones we grew up with are now being mentioned in conversations around retirement and last dances, which means the door to being one of those top teams in the NBA for the next era is wide open. But I understand, I get it. It all goes back to the price that's tagged to that kind of decision. And if you can get a guy or guys that's capable of matching that production and fitting alongside them, by all means, go ahead. But I don't think that there are that many options that are clearly better for the C's.
Malika, they really like him. Brad Stevens likes him. He was on Brad Stevens' staff. They really think a lot of him. Utah tried to hire him away with Will Hardy. The Celtics wanted to keep him and did promote him to the front of the bench this year. He has got an incredible opportunity. This team is still loaded, but it's obviously been a real shocking situation here they're going to have to try to get past.
It's weird how the presence of a coach can be overrated and underrated simultaneously. Before Joe Mazzulla was named the head coach of the Boston Celtics, his predecessor in his first season managed to connect with the group and lead them to a finals appearance. Joe Mazzulla was given the keys to a Rolls Royce. He still had to manage to not wreck it, and that's easier said than done. This role is an uphill battle simply off of expectations. Even with the change, many of us still thought that Boston should be favorites not only to get back to the NBA Finals, but to win it all. For a rookie head coach, that's tough. It's a reason it's only happened, 5 times? And when you keep that in mind, this first year for Mazzulla was solid. Dare I say good. Instead of attempting to be a carbon copy of Udoka, he brought his own style to the table. And we saw it immediately. His influence and take on this group from what was a more defensive-minded philosophy to offense with some mix-ups in the rotation, most notably with the limited use of Robert Williams, who was a starter last year, predominantly a starter last year. And through all of that, they managed to win 6 more games in the regular season. But I understand, there's no trophy for regular season wins, especially when you don't even have the best record in the NBA. The postseason is where championship contenders truly decide if a coach is the guy to get it done or not. And as you would expect, with any first-year head coach, many mistakes were made. Whether he was hesitant to use a timeout to stunt an opposing team's run or making adjustments to the rotation to get the right personnel on the floor, we saw in real time Mazzulla get out-coached. And I think it's understandable to expect some lapses and mistakes through the playoffs when it's your first go-around. He lost to arguably the best coach in the league right now in Eric Spoelstra, who has put on a clinic all postseason. And we'll talk about him and the Heat soon, I promise. What was the more promising sight was the ability to turn things around. Not conceding a sweep and winning 3 games to get to a game 7, I think is commendable, especially when you go back and watch the changes he was willing to make to doing so. This is why Brad Stevens said this at the closeout press conference for the Celtics.
He'll only get better at anything that, he can learn from this year because he's constantly trying to learn. And he's accountable. Those leadership qualities are hard to find. I know they're easy to talk about, but when you can show all those through the expectations and the microscope that he was under, that's hard to do.
Coaches, just like players, have growing pains. It just so happens that for Mazzulla, we saw his in lights. And for Boston fans, I know it's pretty painful, but I think it was necessary. Mazzulla this upcoming season gets a full offseason to work with and implement his philosophy, and gets to do it after coming back from the drawing board of last year's struggles. I said all that to say this. This season for the Boston Celtics was a lot more difficult than some of us hoop fans and media perceived. I personally think that they have the stars and coach in place to win it all for the years to come. If the duo of Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown get another chance alongside Mazzulla, I think some of the missteps and blunders of last season won't be a factor this coming year, and the ring will be in their reach. It'll be expensive, but the question Brad Stevens and the Boston Celtics have to ask themselves is, do they believe in this? Because The ring is always worth it, right? But that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think of the Celtics and what changes you think they should make. I love to see and hear y'all trade ideas. I'll be in the comments to reply. And as always, eat, sleep, breathe the game. Be safe. We love you. I'm out.